Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young man. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hello, thank you very much for having me here. It's a great pleasure to be on the show. My name is Oswald Anonadaga. I am the CEO of FlatGates Limited and the founder. I am 31 and I'm currently in San Francisco in the US, originally from Ghana. I started out as a software engineer, about 13 years of experience currently, building out software, learning how to program, and I have mostly been fascinated by the ability to use software to solve some of the challenges that we have in our society, basically building systems that automate some of the processes, the human processes that we have to do. And this has been a wonderful journey. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science from the Catholic University College of Ghana, where I mostly learned about the foundations of computer science and mathematics and logical reasoning, using this to solve problems and challenges and applying this to projects. And it's been a wonderful journey so far. Since then, I also then worked in the banking and payment sector once I completed my degree, building payment systems, and then also building all kinds of systems, doing mobile development, web development, and all that. And through the banking and payment sector, which was my main focus, I actually learned a lot about the way in which transactions work and the way in which people interact. And then in 2020, I founded FlatGates, which is now in the fourth year. And basically FlatGates provides a digital identity service to any person and allows organizations and institutions to issue their own digital IDs and verify them from anywhere in the world. We provide a credential wallet to allow for you to not have to carry your ID cards around, but still be able to verify your identity anywhere using facial recognition and fingerprint recognition. We also have connected certain value-added services like allowing people to access credit, providing a buy now, pay later service, amongst other things. This has mainly been the journey that we have been on, and we have won a number of awards. We are judged the best democracy affirming startup in Africa and the top 5 worldwide by IE University, the US State Department, and Microsoft in the Tech for Democracy program. We were a winner of the African Union Global Youth Startups competition and a whole lot of other awards as well. This journey has been very insightful and very interesting, and I basically have got to see how we can use technology to solve many of the problems in our society. But then also learned a lot about human nature, also learned a lot about the dynamics of culture and how all of these things affect our lives and how we can work together to provide solutions using technology. It's been a wonderful journey, and the main thing that I am fascinated with is how we can use new technology that we didn't have, which makes it possible for us to solve these kinds of challenges across the world. My focus has mostly been in Africa and looking at how we can roll out solutions and services across Africa. Because one thing that I have learned is that many of the challenges that are present in one African country are common to many other African countries. And because of the nature and similarities of our economies, it's possible to actually easily scale solutions from one country to another, even though there might be certain regulatory or international trade roadblocks along the way. Solutions that we build are mostly Africa focused, and this has been mainly what we have been looking at doing over the past 3.5 years.
That's absolutely wonderful. Congratulations on all of the awards that you've won up until this point. Very, very
Thank you very much.
fascinating.
Yeah.
So, how do you ensure your technology solutions cater to and embrace diversity, especially in sectors like banking, telecommunications, and health?
Okay, so all of our technologies are built to ensure inclusion, representation, and access. And these 3 points are built into every single feature that we have. And our digital identity solution mainly democratizes the access to a lot of services, allows us to include people in decision making, and also allow people to access services. Now, one of the main challenges, especially in banking and financial services, is the lack of inclusion. And due to regulatory hurdles and even banking processes, a lot of people are excluded from the financial sector and have to resort to doing business and transactions in alternative ways. This has resulted in a lot of challenges for many countries, including Ghana. And in the international banking community has always been working on financial inclusion as a process. What our technologies do is that we allow for a very low barrier of entry and access to financial services, such as being able to simply open a bank account from your phone with any bank that you choose. And we provide this by partnering with banks and then allowing you to verify your identity on your phone, your mobile device. And then once your identity is verified, we use facial recognition and fingerprint recognition to match your data and allow you to send your information to the bank. Once you're able to do that, then your account is opened for you. Previously, to be able to open an account, even currently with a lot of businesses that do not use our systems, it might take you about 6 hours to maybe 2 days to open a bank account. But with our service, just using your mobile phone, you can open a fully compliant bank account in less than 30 minutes. And this technology has actually bridged the gap and allows a lot more people to be financially included. We've also done this in the area of credit. And currently, when you apply for a loan, it might take you anytime between 7 days to 3 weeks to actually be able to get everything done. And this is because, first of all, the bank will have to verify your identity, and then your profile has to be processed. In most cases, it's possible that you might not even qualify for the credit. But we have created, using our digital ID system, a credit profile that puts together all of your credit information and your identity information. And we are able to even pre-process this together with the bank to allow everyone to access services. So we have partnerships with retailers, we have partnerships with schools, institutions, to allow for people to easily access credit on their phones. And we've been able to cut down the time for obtaining credit from 3 weeks to less than 5 seconds, actually, because we could perform all the pre-approvals and we are able to obtain all of the data and then allow the bank to take a decision in a very short time. And a lot of the decisions are also automated. And this has actually reduced the barrier to entry and the amount of time in processing. So our technologies basically look at democratizing access and providing inclusion and ensuring representation. And the fact that we allow you to be in full control, it removes a lot of the human barriers. So we cut down on bias because you are not speaking to a direct officer who may express bias in providing you with the services. So everyone still has access. It actually improves access and inclusion in those areas as well. This is basically a gist of how we are democratizing access to financial services and ensuring that we, in the digital economy, we have everyone able to participate.
Wow. So, what challenges have you encountered in integrating your technological solution across diverse sectors, and how have you addressed them?
Yeah, one of the main challenges is um, because our technology is so new and the way we do things is quite novel. It takes time for existing incumbent businesses to understand the way in which our technology works, and then to adopt it. So let's say a bank is typically used to having you come into the bank, then they can see you, collect your ID physically, and then have you fill a form on paper, and they pass that paper along the approval chain, and then they basically perform some approvals and have a meeting to discuss before they can respond to you. And we are coming in and telling the bank that, hey, instead of checking all of these data sources, we have a way of verifying the person's ID using facial recognition right from wherever they are in the world, collecting their identity information and matching it against the databases and ensuring that that data is actually accurate, and then presenting that information to you together with their credit history, which we have connected in our service. That way, all of your work is already done for you, and all you need to do is to take the decision as to whether you want to give the person the credit or not. And because it cuts out so many processes, it can take a little bit of time for businesses to understand the way in which this works. And so we have to go on a campaign to explain and to demonstrate this. So it's just adds a little more time to our business agreement and all of that. But that we have been able to overcome by ensuring that we explain things very clearly, and we provide the data to the banks based on the approvals of the person in the format that the banks want. So it helps the banks to still receive the same information that they receive in the format that they understand, and we basically take it on from there. So that's one of the challenges that we've experienced. The second one has been regulatory challenges. And regulation has basically been designed to address old forms of processes, and but with our innovative processes, there are ways in which the existing regulation does not directly address or does not directly capture the way in which we are performing our processes. And so when we are speaking to regulators like the Bank of Ghana, we have to explain exactly how our technology works. And I mean, so far we have been able to secure approvals from the central bank, that's Bank of Ghana, and basically being able to secure these approvals and then have our system out there. So because the technology is so innovative, we have to sort of like have discussions to explain how it works, do demonstrations and all of that. But that is typically quite simple. Then the third leg is actually speaking to people to adopt the technology. So instead of going to the bank, we say, hey, just pick up the app and then sign up, verify yourself, and then you can submit your information. People are not used to simply just pressing a few buttons and then that whole process is completed for them. They are used to going into the bank, going into the offices to submit their forms on paper. And so it takes a bit of time for people to adopt that, similar to the way mobile money came in and then changed the financial sector. It took time for it to get adopted, but we always find ways to help to push that sphere of adoption much further as we go along.
I love it. So, in your experience, how is innovation shaping the fintech industry? And what role does diversity play in driving this innovation?
Well, innovation basically increases the extent to which the services can reach. So we have more people now able to perform transactions. I mentioned mobile money and how people can send money just from their mobile phones, and your phone number is automatically a wallet. Um, the fact that you can walk up to an agent, you can just exit your house, walk up to an agent across the street, and then withdraw your money or deposit money into your account, changes a lot of things. And so we see that technology allows us to allow increased access, provide financial inclusion, and all of these things. Another thing that technology provides is security of transactions, and we can see that previously, to perform approvals, people could copy signatures and a whole lot of things for checks, and the security is not very strong. But these days, we have security that is tied to your mobile phone through OTPs and other things. But we actually even take our security even further by scanning your face to approve a transaction. So if it's not you who's doing the transaction is not going to go through. And all of this is done through your phone. And so security in financial services is actually powered by innovative technology as well. And now we realize that not only are the existing services being transformed, but there are new services that nobody actually was doing in the beginning. And these services are also coming out, and people are building for actually bringing in new kinds of services into the banking and financial services technology sector.
That's fascinating. So, can you discuss the impact that your digital solutions have had on industries like academia and security, particularly in terms of inclusivity?
Okay, yes. So, in terms of security, I'll speak about security first.
Yeah.
We provide an authentication service using biometrics that allows anyone to verify themselves from anywhere. So now services can be more secure. You can actually verify, and it helps to prevent fraud. With our biometrics authentication service, we cut down the fraud to almost 98% of the fraud is exited. And identity fraud is a very huge issue. In the past 3 years, we have the statistics show that it has grown by over 300%. And so resorting to technology like biometrics to help to solve this challenge is one of the ways in which we have contributed to that. In the areas of academia, some of the things we are doing with schools is allowing for schools to issue their digital IDs on our platform. And so instead of having your physical student ID, you can actually access your digital ID on the phone and verify and prove that you're a student from anywhere in the world or anywhere that you are with just your mobile phone. And secondly, we also have plugged in our services. So, for example, tuition can be paid very easily on our platform by simply, if you have credit, then we can provide you with credit on the platform to pay your tuition, which is a service that it solves a very big challenge of people being able to finance their tuition, amongst other things. Another thing we do is we also offer a verification service that allows you to generate a verified credential and attach to any document or video or photo or content that you create. And this allows for people to know that, yes, this content came from you and it was verified. All of these things are done through our particular digital identity verification service.
So, what is your approach to IT training, and how do you ensure that it's accessible and beneficial to a wide range of learners?
So today's technology allows us to be able to access more data and more information from anywhere in the world. I had most of my training technology from the internet. I just like Googling, searching, watching videos, practicing what I see, and all of that. And today, we are a lot more people are able to access this even on their smartphones. We have people who even learn how to program on their phones, and you could go online on YouTube and learn how to do almost anything in a few minutes using your mobile phone. So it has totally transformed the way in which education is provided, and more people can be reached the information can be broken down into different steps, processes. It's easy to come back to the information. For example, if you attend a lecture in class, you just hear the information once, and if you want to relive the lecture physically, it's not possible to do that. But if the lecture is recorded, then you can always go back to the lecture and refer. And this transforms the way in which we learn, and helps for us to be able to go over material much better. And so, looking at these innovations that have come through in the terms of technology, we are going to see more people in more places being widely educated, and being able um, to go through processes and academic processes that they weren't able to go through, even in the area of test taking, quizzes, exams, and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. That's just amazing. What barriers to technology adoption have you observed in the different sectors? And how do you work to overcome these, considering the diverse needs?
So one of the main things is infrastructure. We
Mhm.
don't currently have all of the infrastructure that is needed to provide services the way that we need them. So internet speeds are not as fast. There are areas without internet access at all. Also, we have regulation being a little behind the times. But I mean, regulation is always behind innovation anyway. So
Yes.
that is something we need, an acceleration in regulation as much as the innovation, as fast as innovation is also moving, especially in
Yeah.
this age of AI. And it's important to count diversity and put together all of the areas and ensure that technology is inclusive. That's probably the most important thing, because it is possible for the lack of infrastructure in the area of technology to further widen the gaps, and increase the biases that are provided. So, for
Yes.
example, if you're building technology, we need to build the same principles of inclusion, access, and representation into the technology, so
Yes.
that it doesn't widen the gaps and continue to ensure the proliferation of anti-diversity practices. And this is something that we really need to look at generally, and it's a job for the policymakers to ensure that the innovators and developers of technology are very well much involved in ensuring that we continue these practices even in the digital world.
So, how do you leverage software development to solve complex problems in various industry, keeping in mind the diverse nature of these sectors?
Okay, so one thing that we always need to remember is that we are building software for people,
Mm.
and once we keep in mind that we are building software for people, then we must ensure that we everything that concerns people needs to be built into the systems and needs to be considered. It's not just about a capitalistic approach
Yes.
merely, where you are just looking to exploit and then to get users who are going to pay for using your service or make money out of providing the service, but also to understand that these people have privacy rights, these people have rights of access, they have fundamental human rights which should not be infringed upon, amongst other things. And so I think that there is a very huge role for non-technical roles to play in the development of technology, and this includes lawyers, policymakers, and generally even psychologists, amongst others, to play this a role in the development of technology and the review of technology from ground up, from the beginning, not the
Yes.
having the technology first developed and then we try to adapt it to fit diversity needs
Mm.
and all of that. It needs to be done from first principles. The people building the technology must understand these things and understand why um, certain ways of doing things will not benefit the people in the end. So having these considerations in mind, and then incorporating all of these other sectors into the development of technology, will help to make sure that we are on the right path as we go along.
So, what are your thoughts on the future of diversity in the tech industry? And how do you plan to contribute to this evolution through floodgates? Technology is an area that has limited, especially a lot of young, vibrant African people from entering this field. due to financial constraints, lack of internet, etc.?
Yes, so one of the things we like you mentioned financial constraints. This is one
Yes.
of the main reasons why one of the value services, the early value services, value added services that we built is access to credit. And in ensuring that people have easier access to credit, we are basically expanding their financial base and ensuring that they are able um, to go on to be able to access whatever that they need to access. And that's really important for us.
Yeah.
So representation, inclusion, and access is core for us. Like I mentioned, we build that from first principles into our solutions. And we do not neglect the law, we do not neglect human rights. We try to understand all of these things from scratch. And one thing that we provide in our technology for businesses to use is we allow businesses to be compliant with a lot of these things from the get-go. So
Yes.
businesses that use our technology adhere to issues of privacy, security, data protection automatically because these things are built into our technologies. So if businesses use our technologies, their processes are automatically compliant with these things, and that is really important. And that's the way that we contribute to other businesses and the general sectors, other sectors being able to benefit from what we are doing. But within our company, within our organization, we have our personal values that ensure that all of our technology must work towards democratizing access to various services and various important things for people and in a very easy manner and with a very low barrier to entry. Yeah.
Yeah, because that is a big issue. So my last question for you is, what advice would you give to aspiring tech entrepreneurs who aim to impact multiple sectors through innovative solutions like what you have done?
I would say that all entrepreneurs who are looking at this and innovators should not only consider the technicalities of what they are building and look to provide infrastructure or technology services, but should try to take some courses in law, should try to take some courses in diversity, inclusion, and look to actually work towards ensuring that they are not building large divides or even importing some of the challenges, the biases, and all of that from the real world into the digital world. And
Yes.
yes, and ensure that we do not only try to automate processes that are in the physical world, but we are actually building new ways of doing the old things the way different from the way in which we used to do them. And I highly recommend that we expand and broaden our knowledge base to allow us to be able to achieve this.
I love it. Wow, thank you so much for coming online and inspiring us with your story. You know, when I found you through LinkedIn, I've been on the hunt to look for young, inspiring African entrepreneurs who are out there in the world, setting an example of what's possible, you know, when you have determination. And what you've done is absolutely phenomenal. Very, very proud of you, Oswald. Thank you so much for this amazing interview.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation to come here to share my story and then our journey. And I hope that this inspires as many people to also take a step to work towards improving diversity and making our world a much, much better place.
Fantastic. And to everybody who's tuned in today, the Diversity Connector is bringing you some amazing stories, voices and stories of people who have broken all barriers that can prevent them from achieving their dreams. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Oswald, thanks again for the interview. Bye for now, everybody. And that's a wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open,